Hello, so today I want to go through the best 6 books that I have read so far this year. And the reason I want to do that is because I've just been in a slump, in a reading slump. I'm having trouble really getting through books right now and enjoying them. And I've been rereading a lot of books recently, just going back through my favorites. And I've also been reading a lot of children's books because my kids they decluttered a bunch of their books, and I just took a bunch that they didn't want that I wanted to read that I was interested in. And I'm also just completely buried in books right now. My TBR bookshelves are overflowing, and I think that's probably stressing me out a little bit. I wish I could get them under control and get them kind of cleaned up. But just to get back into the spirit of things, I'm going to talk about the top best books, best 6 books that I've read so far this year. They're all fiction books, and I've been really inspired by them. So the first book I read that was really incredible was Guards by Terry Pratchett. I had a really hard time getting into this series. I tried a bunch of other books. I read Jingo, which was I think it was book 3 or book 4 in the series. It was book four in the series, and I didn't really understand what was going on. I didn't really get the characters. I tried reading Color of Magic, which is book 1 of the entire Discworld series, and I just didn't enjoy it that much. But then I looked up what's the best book to read to get started in the Night Watch series. Guards came up, so I grabbed it, and after about 3 attempts, I finally got through it, and I loved this book. I loved it. This is incredible. It follows these guards in the Night Watch in Ankh-Morpork Park, which is a fictional land, and it's a I guess it's a comedy farce making fun of politics, history, fantasy. It's great, maybe even science fiction. So it's a really great series. You meet some incredible characters. Terry Pratchett does an amazing job with humor and character development and introducing some brilliant people that you just kind of fall in love with. So I highly recommend if you ever thought about getting into Terry Pratchett, I highly recommend starting with Guards. This is, I think, the best book to really just dive into his world that he created. The next book I read was Trust by Herman Diaz. This book won the Pulitzer Prize last year, and I absolutely loved it. It's the same story told through multiple story devices. So the first part of the book is told as a novel. Then they tell the same exact story as a memoir. And I'm just going to cheat a little bit and double check. I'm sorry. Yes. Okay, so then it's told as, well, what is it? Okay, so maybe not a memoir, as a biography. Yeah. So it's first the story's told through a fictional story, then as a biography, then as a memoir, and then as diary entries. So you kind of peel back layers from this story, and it's a story about this very wealthy family who accumulated a huge amount of money during the Great Depression, and it is such an amazing story. I just could not put this book down. This book was just amazing. I got another book by Herman Diaz, the other one that he was nominated I can't talk, for the Pulitzer Prize for. It was In the Distance, and I haven't read it yet, but I'm really excited to. Maybe that'll get me out of my slump. I'm thinking more Terry Pratchett, more Herman Diaz. That'll get me out of my slump. The next book I read that I really loved was Revolutionary Road by Richard Yates. This is the first book I read by Richard Yates. I don't even know what else he's written. But this book was so good. I just completely fell in love. This is a tragedy. This is like a romantic tragedy, almost like a Shakespeare play. And it's so beautiful. The writing is so incredibly poetic. And the characters are so damaged and broken and real and raw. I actually started watching the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet after I read this, and I haven't got through the movie. It was maybe a little too soon, but the book was absolutely incredible. I can't recommend this one enough if you like kind of tragedy, drama, drawn out family stories. This was perfect. The next book was kind of new for me. This is a fantasy. This is an adult fantasy. I don't think I've read any other adult fantasies before, and I don't think Leigh Bardugo wrote any adult fantasies before she wrote this book, so it's not perfect. But it was really good. It was such an interesting story. It's about this girl who is recruited to start at what college was it? Yale? I want to say Yale. Yeah. And she's completely unqualified, but she has these special powers that the college needs. And they kind of recruit her to be to monitor these other clubs on campus who are doing some dark magic. And yeah, the story kind of blew me away. I thought this was very interesting, and it may be because I'm just not used to reading these types of books. But and I read her other book, the one that followed this, which I don't even remember the name of. I didn't like it as much. What is it? It was Hellbent. Hellbent, yeah. I did not. I felt like the characters were so good in this one. They were so well developed and so interesting. The problem I had with this book was it was a little too disturbing at times, which almost, if the book starts going too off the rails in that direction, I start to kind of lose interest and maybe laugh a little bit. So it wasn't too bad, but there were a couple times where I'm like, okay, like that was over the top. That it didn't need to be this bad. So it does have a little bit of that going on, but other than that, it's still a great story with great characters, and I really enjoyed that. Another book I really loved, and this I would say horror comedy, and I just became obsessed with David Wong's John Dies at the End, and I don't think David Wong is his real name. I think it's I have other books by him. P something. Oh, okay, it's trying to check. Jason Pergin. Pergin is his real name. I have a bunch of books by him because I had to get them after finishing this book. This was so funny and so interesting and creative. This is this follows some boys, or I guess they're young men, who take this dark soy sauce type concoction that gives them special powers, and it also has a lot of crazy portals, demons, all kinds of really funny, crazy stuff happening, and it's just a very high, fast-paced, very intriguing, interesting book. And I have not picked up the other books in the series, which again might cure my reading slump if I did that. So yeah, again, I'm really hoping that just kind of going through these books and remembering them will help me, will help pull me out of this this issue I'm dealing with in terms of reading. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Is a very good book. It's very dark and very funny. And then finally, another book I really enjoyed was Erasure. This is by Percival Everett, and this was turned into a movie called American Fiction, and it was nominated for a bunch of Oscars this year, which is how I found out about it. And this also got nominated for the Pulitzer Prize. So this book has a lot going for it. This book follows the story of a man who's a writer, and he's a very intellectual academic writer. And he just does not make any money. I mean, he makes some money, but he doesn't really make the type of money that he should, because he is just so brilliant. At least he thinks he is. I don't know if other people really care that much about what he's putting out, but it's kind of highbrow literature. And then he finds and he sees other writers in the community who are writing books that are really lowbrow and kind of taking advantage of people who are not very intelligent, maybe, but people who are making a lot of money off writing. And he decides to write kind of a farcical book emulating that type of writing style, and trying to see if, what would happen if he wrote a book under a fake name that was like those type of books that are making a lot of money. And it's kind of amazing what happens. This book really reminds me of another book that I read last year, which was Yellowface, where the author kind of does a similar thing where she steals another author's identity in a way when she's starting writing her book. I mean, she keeps her identity, but she takes someone else's ideas. But I feel like this book does it better. I really felt this one. This one was really great, and I need to find out if he's written other things. I think he has. Oh yes, he has. Okay, so anyway, these are my top favorite 6 books. Sorry for all the rambling. I have so much going on right now. I'm starting a new musical, The Addams Family, tomorrow, which I'm excited and a little nervous about. I have a big dance show coming up at the end of the month where I'll be dancing on point and on tap in tap shoes, so I'm a little nervous. So I have a lot of stuff going on. I have a lot of emotions and things happening, and my kids are doing a lot. So that's probably contributing to my just maybe not reading like I'm used to. Well, anyway, thank you for watching.